It's a race to four. The referee is Desislava Boshilova. And I'm delighted, as always, to say my co-commentator is former world number 3, Neil Foulds.
Against Luca Brissell, Selby made the final, so they nearly played in the biggest match of the season. I think it's a hard one to call. I think Jiahui try everything to beat him. Might throw the kitchen sink at him, but will it be enough?
Again, scoring well. 110, 80, 170. So Jiahui is well aware of just how good Selby can be, not just in the defensive department, but also when it comes to putting points on the board.
Probably be a little bit more on the attacking side, because safety alone will not win a snooker match at this level these days. We know how well he can score, and he is scoring well. I think that's short enough. You know, he goes in spells, Jiahui, where he looks almost unstoppable.
13th in the world rankings after that run to the last four in Riyadh, and that's his personal best.
5.
As you can see, they're tightly bunched up. Down the left channel, I'm not sure very much would go to the right corner. So he's determined to get to the right side of the table.
10.
Is he screwing into these? Not quite the angle to do so. There is one red, which just goes to the right corner. The red is nudging to go in front of the black.
18.
Wasn't quite the natural. And that was going to be the problem. There's a little bit of guesswork in that shot. Not much he could do about it.
Jiahui, 25.
There is a learning curve. He played an immaculate safety shot there. It's not a very good escape, for once. Out of character.
Anonymous.
Entirely atypical.
1.
Oh, you can see what he's thinking. Brown to middle. Why would you play a snooker when you can pop that? There were spells in that semi-final with Luca Brissell. Eventually lost it, as we've said, 9 frames up at one point, but
yes, and since then he's
14.
once again, doesn't have to go into them. There's a red that goes to right corner. Yes, and his fellow Chinese player, Zhang Jun, served it up to him in the last round.
22.
Yes, he beat Andrew Paget from Wales 4-1 first up, and then
well, he just caught the reds a little bit square on there.
29.
The red up into the yellow pocket. I mean, it's so close. Cue-ball object ball is very missable. And Desislava Boshilova, the referee, looking at a possible push shot here. Very good. Yellow on the left cushion is the plan. however good you are, you need to have that kind of insurance.
Jiahui, 30.
Wow, what a shot. Well, at the moment, he's making all the right moves.
1. Oh, anonymous. Jiahui, 4.
Well,
1.
yeah. Well, without the aid of a big break.
8.
Yeah, this afternoon's snooker is against China. Jiahui going to win the first frame in the main match arena, and I can tell you Wu Yiza has begun. Wollaston was 30 odd in front in the opening frame.
50.
Wu cleared up with 94. 5 Chinese players in the last 16.
21. 22. 29. 30. 36.
Come in there droves this week to watch the snooker.
Yes, in all aspects of the game. This is his third attempt to try and gain a victory against Mark Selby, and it's begun in prime fashion.
And I think we know that Sean Murphy wasn't delighted about losing to an amateur, but that was only in status, really, not in ability. Yeah, I mean, the old UK format, which you heard Mark Selby saying is better now, it used to be that the top players, and Sean Murphy ran into Jiahui on that basis. Getting down for a red is not easy. The angle on the brown is not a wide angle. Yeah, a little bit more pace required.
Jiahui, 1. 1.
Yes, and I said at the start of this match,
Nine.
running it around, hand on cushion, got to put a bit of pace into this. It's a beautiful shot.
The jester from Leicester, a very popular figure, and rightly so.
Selby 16.
So I think he is scoring. Even though by his standards, the commencement of the campaign has not been what he would have wanted.
He's going to probably end up just dropping into the right side of the bunch, but not impossible he could leave one doing so.
One.
Red didn't go in cleanly. He's not perfectly on the black.
Mark Selby 1.
Early in a frame, it can create the conditions for a potential re-rack.
And the possible stalemate broken. Selby now playing on the black crucially, and the frame will continue. That was not very well played at all. Hit it much too thin, contact on the black ball.
8.
Well, Selby
Mark
would be
Selby,
disappointed not to have made something more of that once he... Yeah, I mean, you've got to have a safety game. Clearly, that's not his strength, but there's been no leading players who haven't had the backup of a safety aspect to their game. They can only win one way, and that's to just pot everything. If the pots don't go in, there's not much to fall back on. Don't think C is going to be one of those players. A bit more to his game than that.
First time in 2019, but since then he's matured immensely.
One.
Thought he played it well to take the cue ball in and out of bulk.
Nine. $70.
Well, you wouldn't predict that he's going to win the frame here. I mean, he could do, but where the balls are, there's lots of... Pretty good. Pretty good, all things considered.
25.
In this match, he needs. That would be harmful.
Exactly right. We've seen it before at this game. I mean, it wouldn't be the first. Rein yourself in sometimes. You don't really want to see that. There'll always be a shot where you've just got to decide. A lot will depend on what happens to those four reds.
$41.
Yeah, playing to the left side of the table.
48. $49.
As soon as he dropped on the black, he realised
56.
he did not have sufficient angle.
Jiahui. 56.
Now this red is following the cue ball too much for Selby's liking. I think he was thinking a lot about the cue ball and forgot the pot there because he seemed shocked it stayed out.
One.
What has Selby got now? Because it would be a significant turnaround. That is not what he planned. Could hardly have finished worse.
And again, Neil, if he's not got cover, that's not the kind of shot you associate.
A little bit of a swerve here. Big swerve, in fact. So, 25 in front, Jiahui.
Ben Wollaston in early trouble.
Could be the blue is a guide here. certainly worth a try. This is the point. I mean, they look easy, don't they? You see them on the TV. Sometimes the camera foreshortens the... I think that's a good shot. Just get to something of the top red. Well, Selby's not winning any of the exchanges here, safety or scoring.
Well, I think the distance between white and black
Mark Selby 4.
Well, that's a big mistake. I mean, I think he...
What a gift, though.
Yeah, getting the blue on the spot is in his favour, isn't it? Because of where the brown is. Ball's away from their natural place on the table.
8.
I think it's 4 shots, not easy to...
$11. Mark Selby 11.
That's a terrible mistake, well, honestly, to get the pink into play. It might not cost him. Very, very surprised.
9.
Needs them both.
Mark Selby, 15.
That's why he prioritised getting the object. It certainly will sneak in. What a frame this is, goodness me.
C gambled, and I think it's backfired. The black went in just as the frame reached the 40. C potting freely and dominating the first. Selby snatching the second in high drama. Touching ball, which always helps. Look at this position, Neil.
Yeah, I mean, I think I could get into that position, but might have to be airlifted back off the table afterwards.
Yes, having seen you the day after you did that sponsored walk around the Lake District, I would agree with that assessment.
I think the common assumption is that if you win a frame, you should lose, you should be pleased, but he didn't look very happy.
Jiahui trying to reach one for the 6th time. Well.
That it may not count for an awful lot. It's one of those, well, you've got to play the snooker. You know Selby will...
Touching ball.
Well, the rubber's always going to be in play on the left side. It was a mistake, quite a big one as well. Like I say, Selby was meant to take encouragement from the previous frame, but he didn't seem to have any.
Now, that was unusual. A, the fact he missed from distance, but also the fact he visibly moved on the shot.
One.
One, Mark Selby. Highest break so far, 16.
9. 7.
Just thinking, you know, when Pete Luca Bracel in the final, 9-6. But on the first morning, the temperatures are warm, which is a total contrast to that day in 2022, because the tournament then was in December.
25. $32.
To be precise, I've just been told it's 24 degrees in Brentwood. But I think it was well into 3 figures Fahrenheit. But it was a very dry heat, and indoors with the air conditioning, conditions were tip-top.
40.
Yeah, nice shot.
$44. $52. $60.
Yes, he was going to hit the red quite full, so still in the very strong. It's a long way off. I don't know how he could clear up here. Blue where it is, nailed to that bolt cushion.
Judd Trump against Mark Williams in Saudi. But surely not here.
Jiahui. 8.
An almost unmissable snooker. Would have pressurised Selby.
1.
Don't think it means that the match is over or anything. Swing in the favour of the Leicester man, that's for sure.
$9. $16.
Of winning matches that you don't think he was really at his best in, but he finds a way. Maybe that will be the case today. He was certainly let off the hook in a major way.
Yeah, he was left a very good chance, which he took. I think he still looks a little edgy, quite honestly.
Quarterfinals tomorrow will be played over the best of 9 frames, then semi-finals best.
Another mistake, another.
One. Six. Seven. $13.
Yes, that's fine. He didn't want to be straight on the... Bit unlucky, really, that... I mean, exactly how he played it to... So you can make a few here, but not necessarily a
21.
very telling contribution, unless he gets the reds open.
$27.
Looks like a pretty good angle, Neil.
Thinner than he would like, but he can certainly get into the reds. Reds aren't moving, are they?
29. So 29.
Quite thin contact on the first red. I'm not certain that he would miss the left-hand red in going through. He played it with a view to steering the cue ball back as well. Nothing particularly wrong with that. Managing to beat Zhang Jun 4-3, but a fast-flowing sort of a match. But you play Mark Selby, he's always going to make things very difficult for you the longer the match goes on. Coupled with the fact that he very much should have won frame 2 and led 2-0. I think that's the best shot he's hit so far. Such good ball striking, this.
8. $9.
fail-safe red to middle.
$17.
Yeah, I think we've got a glimpse of a possible plant. I mean, he won't need it. There's 2 reds available,
22.
but those 2 reds.
$23.
Looks a lot more settled now, Neil. Inspires him.
30.
One thing you know about Selby, he will weigh up every option, work out the percentages, the correct way forward. Won't do anything rash.
Yes, and even though he played that right hand red, it was never going to be
Selby.
taken away from the cushion. That's a great shot. I still see him as a good favourite, but just mark this as a potential turning point again. Played that well. I mean, surely this would be a push shot, wouldn't it? Goodness me. Well, yeah, the Reds are in line. I can't imagine he could have.
Yeah, Semi played away from the plant to try and avoid the push, and that compromised the plant in itself.
Yeah, I mean, this is where it's good. I mean, why not do this?
Hard as nails. A couple of decades almost. He knows how to cope with all different kinds of opposition. And I think that's been apparent today. Although, the way he won the second frame, that was more a case of Jiahui losing it, and maybe that's tipped the balance. So a victory here today would be gratefully accepted.
Yes, of course, Selby not playing in Wuhan. He was beaten in qualifying there. So it's not as if he can...
Yes, Neil, and I think the fact he lost in Wuhan is pertinent to this, because on that occasion in the qualifier he was scraping home. Don't forget, next up this afternoon, another former world champion and current world number one, Jia Trump, taking on Fan Zhengyi, a youngster from China who has already won a world ranking tournament, the European Masters, beating Ronnie O'Sullivan in the final. He's a very inconsistent sort, Fan, but when he plays well, he plays very well.
Yes, I mean, you think about Fan Zhengyi and you look at Wu Yizu on the other table and see Jiahui, of all the Chinese young players coming through. Looks like he's playing two cushion glance. It's very difficult to hit one here.
Foul.
Well, you don't play that shot with left-hand running side. It's so hard to locate the edge of the red. Well, at least on this replacement, only the cue ball is affected. So he's got to hit one, or else it's end of match. Well, he doesn't really want that one back. I think he's got himself out of a real scrape there.
You just wondered about the double kiss, but that was avoided. And the green was almost avoided.
That's a pretty good shot in return from C. That's a... If you didn't know better, you'd say it was Selby who played that. It was so well judged. That's a great shot. That is, because there isn't much room to play with in that bottom corner. Selby at his best. In fairness, though, see, Jiahui has played some good shots of his own here.
Just a lapse of concentration, it seems.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, it just could be that maybe somebody hit something and knocked the cue ball sideways, but it... You said about him leaping up on shots there. He nearly hit the roof that time. He did slightly misjudge the shot.
He's a very different Jiahui to the one we normally watch. He's a lot more circumspect, allowing Selby to dictate the pace of the match and also the feel of the match.
Jiahui, 1.
That'll do.
Thank you.
Cue will round the angles here. He could get in behind the brown again. Might be the intention. Wide figure of 8 safety shot off that red by the pink spot. Oh, he's got a lot of target balls to play behind. He hasn't quite managed it. Well, there you have it. That Selby has played the shot that I was thinking that Jiahui could have played. Now he's in a lot of trouble.
Jiahui, 1. Well, anonymous.
Well, that wasn't what he should have been doing.
4.
Took a long time and he missed a very thin red that he was aiming for.
Top of the wish list there, getting the cue ball into open table. That's what he's done. Personal shape. As he so often does.
But then he misses one, and that will just give some hope to Jiahui.
5.
Match time a little over 2 hours for 4 completed frames.
8.
As we expected. But what has Jiahui got left? Has he got
17. $25.
It's not as if he's not putting it to good use either. I mean, he was, for all the world, looking like he's going to play in a world final.
33.
It's not kind of come from nowhere. Gone much too far this time with the cue ball. End of break. Slight changing of the match, a few mutterings from Selby. That's the run of the ball change because he got lucky there.
First time this season and for the third time in total. And having lost the fourth frame on the black,
$6. $11. $12.
Of course, you saw Mark Selby just saying a few things under his breath. He knows that if it goes 3-2, it doesn't quite become anybody's, but it just brings Jiahui right back into the equation. Having not really been in this match, he seemed out of rhythm.
18.
I suppose if it can change one way, as it did in favour of Selby, it can do so again in reverse.
well, that was frame ball. And you have to wonder, against Long Ziwang in the Wuhan Open qualifiers, will enter
22.
Selby's thoughts here, because 3-1 up, not fit for purpose positional shot, misses the black to middle, and ever since
30. $37.
So, intriguing match from the beginning. Before it started, we thought, well, this is the point where it's now 3-2. It's no less intriguing.
Jiahui 39 and a half.
both players well capable of... I get the sense he will be.
Yes, I mean, it felt like he wasn't really going anywhere in that previous frame. That long safety exchange, he got slowly bogged down, but I think if you're neutral in this match, to see it go all the way would be quite something. It will be very hard to call in a decider, but still, of course, there'll be a frame up. I mean, that's the thing, isn't it, about snooker? You talk about the crucible, the test of 3 and 4 session matches towards the end, but there's sometimes a...
That would have been a
And that may not be too bad. And also, I would say, in the case of someone like Mark Selby, is to make every shot count. I mean, even shots that may not seem that important, really troubling their opponent. Selby very rarely plays a shot like that. He's all, even that last shot, for instance, look at that. Not just playing back to the bulk end, trying to get him behind that green ball. Various different directions off this safety shot. A good effort to play behind the green.
Look at that from distance, just the 1 out of 7.
So there's a bit of a turnaround again in this match. Won't count for anything unless Jiahui takes advantage of this
8.
opportunity.
Nine.
Yeah, just a risky little double. Hold for a red. Oh, really good. Really good. Very confidently played in the end.
17.
Highest break in the contest so far, 60 from Mark Selby.
Yeah, not perfectly angled on this pink though. Because as you can see, there's not a great deal from that side of the table which goes. We had to force it and
$24. $27.
question of what happens A to the pot and B to the cue ball for the next colour. Oh, what a shot that is. He made a very difficult shot look particularly easy there. Pot and position.
$36.
Just letting this cue ball run loose a little bit too often. Where's his next red coming from? No, that's just sloppy, I'm afraid.
Jiahui, 36.
And because he overcut the pink,
you might have seen the disappointment etched on his face there, Jiahui. He's let a very promising situation just slip slightly. get the feeling Selby is
One.
less likely to suffer the same fate. He's done pretty well.
And sometimes when the cue ball hits the bump of a middle pocket,
4.
it can be a hindrance. There, it was a great help.
5.
Over the years, in this kind of position, he's been the epitome of not so much in recent times, one has to say, though.
12.
Something that Jiahui does tend to do.
13. One.
Well, despite the fact that he's still behind on the points in the frame, it's a wonderful chance to get the match won. And that's not a good shot. That is, he'd be enraged by that.
And what makes it worse, had he potted the 5 reds with high-value colours, he wouldn't have needed the awkward yellow.
Yeah, and in a way, the yellow worked in his favour, or it was meant to.
Silver 28.
For that reason, wasn't it? He knew what he had to do.
Oh. Alamas. C'est Jiahui.
Yeah, as was the case in frame 5.
Quite tense, isn't it, this match, it feels? Still going strong. Jiahui's going to be there at the latter stage of events more and more in years to come.
I think emphasising the importance placed on the match by both players.
Well, it's an important red because he's got the advantage. Yes, he won't be clearing from potting it, but he can really put Jiahui in trouble now.
Mark Selby 1.
They're backstage. They're now chomping at the bit.
Maybe not as straightforward to answer as best of nines, which of course have been playing for 30, 40 years. You might have some answers on that one, Phil.
Well, I feel a bit of a fraud because I don't know the best of 7 question. I do know the best of 9. Applause, yes, but...
Sometimes I think that can be deceptive. It looks like they're actually on top of the ball. But either way... Well, one thing he can do is just off straight, he could run the cue ball underneath the black cushion and then left.
One.
Probably a better option that he's now done, using that stun. We're on the brink of going all the way here. It's just a little bit more for Jiahui to do in this frame to make that happen.
8.
In a half-an-hour frame, we had frame lasting 40 minutes earlier, which Selby scrambled home on the black. It was frame 2.
50.
Jiahui needs both of these reds.
16.
The first time Selby prevailed. Right now, if you believe in the power of momentum,
True, but I think too much into what's gone before always. We just look forward to it, don't we?
36.
when he was 3-1 down, sitting there as Selby was in the balls, Jiahui would have gladly taken this scenario.
41.
Easy game, isn't it, when the frame is over, the way he's knocking these in. But yeah, he's pragmatic, you know, he finds ways to win, Mark Selby. I think he might as well have had that put back, quite honestly. He might have got another 6 or 12 points out of it.
1.
That's on the button.
I think you need a sledgehammer to hit them hard enough to open the reds there. It's a big shot, this.
9.
Interesting shot on the green. It was hard to know
Max Selby.
what the plan was. And he's got to hit it with a little bit of pace to bounce off the cushion. Yeah, I mean, they look very easy, but that is not as simple as that.
Oh. Anonymous. Max Selby 4.
Just falling behind a little bit. He's hit this much too thick. He knows it. He was on the walk there, wasn't he? He knew exactly what had happened.
As this is a decider. Yeah, I'm not surprised about that.
I think it's what he does with the cue ball that's worrying him. He's changed his mind mid-shot there. Oh, goodness me, I didn't expect that. I did not expect him to refuse it.
Do so at your peril.
Well, he needs a bit of cover here. That left-hand red is available, albeit it's not hanging over the pocket.
One.
Although that was much better. Much better.
So now I wonder how Jiahui feels about refusing that red.
Nine.
Yeah, it kind of still is. Even though he's on this red, he's not perfectly on it. You see that happening, I feel. He did no
50.
control.
1.
Well, the chance has come, and what a chance it is.
Nine.
This stage. Yeah, he has. He never needs a second invitation. What a shot. Interesting choice. He didn't want to finish high on the black because the two reds below the black would have been...
Jiahui, 30. One.
Good pot from Selby, but to no avail.
Selby, 1.
And Neil, we're still no wiser as to who will come through.
No, but I had the feeling there that when Jiahui got in, he might get the match one. Yeah, I think he can.
One.
Doesn't want to be straight. To get a good kiss.
Four. $11.
He won't be rushed here because he knows this is... Good shot.
$90.
So he'll know that, that the colour that follows this red will be the one.
27.
I get the feeling, I don't know this, but just watching it, that
Certainly. Now it's a big sigh of relief. That man sees Jiahui for the third time in as many meetings. He won't be joyful, Selby.
$46.
He was 3-1 up. It looked as though he might be throwing it away.
50.
But boy, was he pushed. Mark Selby's highest break of the match seals the deal. He allows himself a smile, and no wonder. He defeats Jiahui by the narrowest of margins.